Selling art prints can be your ticket to going full-time as an artist. Ask me how I know. If you're already a full-time artist, selling prints can be your ticket to boosting your income and getting more consistent sales and revenue over time. Ask me how I know. I put off selling prints for so long, like years and years ago. I knew I wanted to start selling prints. I knew it would be something that could support me, that could bring in consistent revenue, but I had no clue how to do it. Even though I was Googling how to scan art and where to get it printed and how to ship it and all this stuff, it was so overwhelming, and there was just like bits of information here and there, but no like streamlined way to be like, here's how you take your fine art paintings or watercolors or whatever you're making and turn it into prints and sell them. So as soon as I had it, where I was like, okay, I have a system, I know how this works, I was like, I'm going to share this with other artists. Like if there's one thing I do, it's going to be to figure out this print thing, figure out getting consistent sales from prints, and share it with other artists. So that is what I'm doing. And today I'm going to share 5 things that you need to start selling prints, and 3 things that you actually don't need that you might be telling yourself you do. Let's get started with the first thing, which is great image files. And that's like, of course, duh, but I just want to let you know that right off the bat, they don't need to be like the absolute perfect images. And for the purposes of this video, by the way, I'm talking about art that we're translating from existing fine art, like painting, watercolor, drawings, things like that. I actually do embroidery into my art, and so I even think that you can make prints from fiber art or anything that has like a 2-dimensional feel. I secretly think that you can make prints with 3-dimensional art, like ceramics also, which I touch on in my Art Print Empire course, which I'll get to later. But anyway, starting with the image files, they do need to be super high res, super great images, but that's the ultimate goal. If you're just getting started, don't wait until you have the perfect budget and the perfect scanner and all this stuff to get your images. Like when I started selling prints, I had a photographer friend of mine shoot a bunch of my art pieces with a camera, and they are not as super high res as the scans I get today that can be printed like huge, but I still use those images all the time, and they're not like the end all be all greatest images, but they still print for small prints up to like maybe 20 by 20 or 24 by 24. So definitely don't be put off by thinking that you have to like right out of the gate have everything be perfect, because that's definitely not true. With all the tips I'm going to share today, it's kind of thing where it's better to just get started and then you can up level as you go. The second thing you need is great product photos. So these are different from the actual image files of your prints. These are what your audience will see. So on social media or on your website or other listings, so that people can see this is what the print will look like. I call it like in the wild. So an easy way to get started is just to order test prints of your prints and take photos of them in front of a sunny window or something like that. It can be like you holding the print, or you can just, buy like a simple frame somewhere. And I would take the glass out so you don't get a glare and just have pictures of your print in a frame, that kind of thing. So you can definitely just start out with your smartphone. I also have in my course, which I'm going to talk more about, I share all kinds of ways to get free and really easy to use mock-ups and ways to create really beautiful product photos that can show off your prints in different settings and kind of appeal to your audience in different ways. The third thing is a great printing service. And this I have no hacks for. It really needs to be a great service. And this is like a relationship that you're gonna build over time. You may need to try out a couple of services and see which ones, work best for you, the quality of prints that you like, how they ship to your audience, that kind of thing. And it may take some trial and error, but you can go on Google or Yelp and just search your local area for reviews, or there are a lot of online kind of like remote printers that will print for you. I think if you're gonna go with a service, definitely find a printing service that specializes in fine art. So not all just like generic print on demand printing services do that. Make sure it's someone that really prints a lot of art and deals with like the paper quality and the image quality and all of that you need to create a really great print. The next one is kind of a weird one, but I would say that data is a huge thing that you need to sell prints. And by that, I mean, eventually it does mean, looking at Google Analytics and your website analytics and seeing like conversion rates and what's working and what's not and things like that. But out of the gate, what I mean more so is a willingness to look at what's working and have that help you move forward with your decisions. So in terms of prints, like for example, what I mean is looking at that sweet spot of what your audience loves and what people are buying or attracted to, or what you think they would enjoy buying as prints, along with what you enjoy making. And that's true for your originals also, like finding that sweet spot. So just like looking at that and kind of making those decisions over time, because I think a big part of it is kind of testing as you go. And sort of along with that, number 5 is mindset. I think that going into selling prints, it's kind of a different animal than selling originals as an artist. It's almost more like a traditional product business, almost like an e-commerce business. So you sort of have to have that mindset going in. For me, that's really fun because I love kind of like nerding out on like marketing and business and e-commerce and finding a new audience and people who connect with my art and people who I can share my art with. It just gets me so excited. So, and of course that's true for originals also, but I think when you're selling something that's more like a product, you have to kind of think more in that business commerce side of things. So just kind of like knowing that as you go in and making decisions that way. So now you have kind of a basic gist of what you need to sell prints. So I want to give you 3 things that you actually don't need that you might have heard you need, or you might be telling yourself you need, but you actually don't. So we're gonna make it really easy. The first thing you don't need is a huge social media following. And in fact, I have found that the secret about selling art prints is that it actually not only is a revenue stream for me, but it acts as another marketing stream, another way for people to find me, because there are a lot of places where you can maybe sell or share your prints that you can't do with originals. Like for example, you can sell prints wholesale in a store and you're less likely to do that with like a big canvas. So that's just one example, but there are a number of ways that people can find you through your prints, and I think that's really exciting. So moral of the story is, don't worry if you don't have a big existing audience yet. Your prints can actually help you get there. Number 2, this is a big one that held me back for so long, is you don't need a huge budget to get started. I seriously put off selling prints for so long, or creating prints, because I just thought I would need so much overhead. I thought I needed like fancy equipment and like big printers, and that I would need to store like 1 million prints ready to go in stock in my studio. And I've actually found that there are ways to make this very cost effective. Again, it's like the kind of thing that you can start out at a certain level and then up level as you go, but to get started, you absolutely don't need a huge budget. And the last one is a website. I actually don't think you need a website to get started selling prints. Now, ultimately, I think it is important to have a website for brand awareness and for other things, but I really don't want it to hold you back from selling art prints. If you can't tell already, this whole video is a PSA to like get you to sell art prints, because I just think it's like such a great way to build in more revenue in your art business. And so I don't want anyone to be held back by being like, well, I have to go and finish my website. But if you're just getting started, there are actually so many places that you can sell prints that don't involve having your own website. And that means that it can be really easy to get started. So I mentioned I have a course on selling prints. It's called Art Print Empire. It's actually a mini course. It's super easy and digestible, but it's really comprehensive. It's like literally something that I wish had been around when I was starting to make prints, because it answers like all of the questions that I had. And again, it's very digestible, very actionable, so you can get started right away. Because again, I think selling prints is such a huge way to bring in revenue, bring in a new audience for your art, and really just be like a consistent piece of your art business pie, as I like to call it. And if you have any other questions specifically about what I talked about in the video, feel free to leave a question in the comments or comment in the comments, and definitely like and subscribe, because I am sharing much more content here about building your art business, growing your art business, and more mindset tips for artists, because I think that's so important. So I will see you soon.